Luxury watches don't just tell time, they tell stories, mostly the kind written by marketing teams with very expensive pens. Brands like Rolex have mastered the art of myth-making, spinning tales of snowy Swiss workshops and artisans with magnifying glasses glued to their faces. But peel back that polished brochure and things start looking a lot less alpine. Funny how Swiss precision starts to blur when the parts are flying in from 5 time zones away. Welcome back to Opulent Oasis. Today, we're cracking open the vault on what really goes into building these horological icons and how the industry keeps the real playbook out of sight. It's not about ruining the mystique. Think of it more like finally noticing the zipper on the magician's sleeve. We're still here for the craftsmanship, but knowing what's behind the curtain just makes it a little harder to nod solemnly at every limited edition pitch. Let's get into it. The myth of Swiss luxury watchmaking. Let's be honest, buying a luxury watch in 2025 often feels like paying a premium for a well-told bedtime story. A $10,000 Submariner or a $36,000 Royal Oak sounds like you're investing in centuries of Swiss know-how, but scratch the surface, and it starts to feel more like you're buying the world's most elegant illusion. Turns out, heritage is expensive and very well branded. Ask where that Swiss-made masterpiece really comes from, and things get quiet, not awkward first date quiet, more like don't ask that here quiet. The truth? A surprising number of high-end pieces spend most of their life in Shenzhen, China, not bootlegs, the real deal, produced with surgical precision at massive scale. Switzerland may own the romance, but Shenzhen runs the production line. What's wild is the factories don't even try to hide it. They'll happily show you spec sheets, bulk pricing, and even brag about the luxury brands they work with, Rolex included. Meanwhile, the brands keep up their handmade in the Alps by candlelight routine like it's Broadway. The Swiss-made label, it's more of a finance term than a geography one. As long as 60% of the value is tied to Switzerland, branding, assembly, a final polish in Geneva, it qualifies. So yes, your grail watch might be more well-traveled than you. That romantic image of a master watchmaker hunched over tiny gears. These days, he's more likely to be managing logistics and emailing vendors about shipment delays. The myth isn't broken, it just got very good at project management. Quick wrist check, if you're still with us, might as well hit subscribe and roll with the Opulent Oasis crew. We dig into the stuff the brochures won't. Now, back to peeling back the polish. Replica realities and media silence. Replicas used to be laughably bad, off-center logos, ticking quartz hands, and metal that felt like it came off a food truck. These days, the top-tier clones are a whole different animal. They're built using the same machines, same molds, sometimes even in the same factories as the real thing, just minus the crown and the crushing markup. Honestly, the only thing fake now might be the sense of exclusivity. It's not just a sign that knockoffs got better, it's a reminder that luxury watchmaking has quietly traded its artisan fantasy for industrial muscle. The tweezers and leather aprons have taken a back seat to robotics, batch production, and systems thinking that would make Six Sigma consultants tear up with joy. That Swiss craftsmanship everyone loves to romanticize. These days it's more like Swiss project management with better lighting. And once you realize that, the Swiss-made label starts to feel a little shaky. It doesn't mean the watch was built in a quiet village nestled in the Alps. It means 60% of its value, not parts or labor, is tied to Switzerland. That can be anything from branding to a final inspection in Geneva. It's kind of like naming your dog Croissant and insisting he's from France. The thing is, people are starting to connect the dots. Forums are lighting up with side-by-side comparisons, leaked movement shots, and supplier parts lists. Some of these match Chinese factory catalogs right down to the screw alignment. A few brave former industry folks have even tried to speak up, and let's just say, they weren't exactly celebrated for their honesty. As for official responses, there are none. The brands lock it down tight, NDAs, loyalty pledges, and the kind of silence that usually comes with big lawsuits or small empires. Asking for clarity at this level is like asking your AD for a Pepsi GMT. They'll smile politely and pretend you didn't say anything. Mainstream media isn't helping either. Most watch publications are basically high-gloss product catalogs with a journalism hat photoshopped on. When the same brands buying ad space are also the ones being reviewed, don't expect hard questions. When the press trip includes champagne, front row access, and a complimentary explorer, editorial integrity tends to miss the flight. Influencers, same deal. Criticism comes at the cost of invites, goodie bags, and those subtle nods from brand reps. Safer to just post the moody wrist shot, tag the brand, and say something vague like timeless elegance. So no, the silence isn't some mysterious code of honor in the luxury world. It's just a very well-paid, very well-dressed kind of quiet. Rethinking luxury, what truly matters on your wrist. Things are getting interesting in the world of luxury watches. Models like the Submariner and GMT, once immune to price drops, are quietly showing up overseas with markdowns of 10% to 20%. No sales banners, no PR spin, just a silent shrug from the brands that once swore Rolex doesn't discount. When a brand that treats price tags like gospel starts sneaking in deals, you know the market's getting spicy. Meanwhile, Chinese factories have basically stopped pretending. They're now offering clean, logo-free versions of high-end watches that look, and often are, nearly identical to the originals. You want a no-name green Daytona or a stealth mode Royal Oak? Just hop on WeChat and scroll like you're ordering takeout. It's not fake, it's just the same meal without the Michelin markup. Then there's the math nobody wants to talk about. Insiders estimate that a $10,000 Rolex might cost just $1,500 to produce. The rest is branding, storytelling, and a whole lot of "you've made it" energy. Apparently the bezel isn't the only thing getting polished. But even a well-made watch starts feeling off when doubts creep in. Maybe the lume fades faster than expected. Maybe that bracelet rattle keeps you up at night. Suddenly, wearing it becomes a performance, a flex with footnotes. Explaining your wristwatch shouldn't feel like giving a TED talk. The truth is, real luxury doesn't beg for validation. It feels right. It gives you that quiet, unfakeable satisfaction, no backstory required. If a watch needs a paragraph to justify itself, maybe it's not as timeless as it claims. And collectors are starting to lean into that. Some are still chasing Daytonas, others are rocking Seikos with zero shame. The shift isn't about price, it's about peace of mind. Sometimes the best status symbol is not caring about status. Behind the scenes, Rolex seems to be navigating its own identity crisis. Would people still shell out 5 figures if they knew their Swiss masterpiece did most of its growing up in Shenzhen? Or would they rather have something honest, even if it comes without the fairy dust? The silence from Geneva is getting louder. The love for watches isn't dying, it's just maturing. We're not here to kill the romance, but let's not confuse nostalgia with truth. Maybe the ultimate flex in 2025 isn't about owning the legend, it's knowing the facts and wearing what actually feels good. Because sometimes, the truth just looks better on the wrist. So, after all that, are you still team Swiss flex or leaning toward the no logo, no nonsense route? Does knowing your grail might have taken a detour through Shenzhen change the way it ticks for you? Or are you just here for the wrist candy either way? Let us know in the comments. Don't leave us hanging like a Daytona on a waitlist. If you're into peeling back the polished layers of the watch world, give that like button a gentle tap. No need to break your bezel. Subscribe to Opulent Oasis and check out our other videos. We're here to talk watches the way most won't, off the record, but on point. Catch you next time. Stay curious, stay strapped.